one. Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 94. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean_Beatty. Kevin is at C2Believe. That's SEA2Believe. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us. Tell us what you think in the comments below. We're going to start with some tough news to talk about. We're recording this on Monday. If you've seen the Monday Night Football game, what happened to Damar Hamlin, everybody's thoughts are just going out to him right now. I think it's just good to recognize the perspective of, obviously this is a game, but ultimately these are played by human beings. And when something like that happens, it's really hard to kind of continue playing football. So at least the NFL kind of late recognized that and decided to postpone the game. But overall, let's just hope that Damar is doing all right and that he remains stable and everything works out okay. But football is a violent game and injuries do happen all the time, and it's tough to watch. But that I was watching it while I was on the treadmill, and it was just like I literally thought I watched someone die on the field. So that was, at least he is in stable enough condition right now. But that is something hard to watch. Sean, do you have anything to say about that?
No, I don't have much expertise with heart stuff, so no.
Kevin?
No, I mean, other than, like, as I was mentioning to you guys, it looked like what happened with Eddie Guerrero, and what happened to him in the ring, but he went down slower. But yeah, some form of pre-consistent heart condition thing that possibly was not known about, or something happened because in the tackle that caused the heart to do it. So yeah, just thoughts and prayers out to him and his family and teammates, and hopefully we get some good news here within the next couple day or so. So
absolutely. Well, let's talk about some Seattle sports, and let's first talk about the Seattle Kraken. Since we have last been on the podcast, they've had quite a few games. I'll kind of run down the list here. So they lost in Tampa, in Carolina, came home. They defeated Winnipeg 3-2, then lost to St. Louis at home, or won against St. Louis 5-2, have lost 3 in a row at Vancouver, home against Calgary and Edmonton. And then on New Year's Day, they defeated the New York Islanders 4-1, currently sitting at 19-12-4. And they're in a pretty close Pacific Division right now, kind of jumbled in the middle there around like 42, 43 points. They're currently sitting tied for 4th with the Edmonton Oilers. And I'll go ahead and start, since I was actually able to attend a game since our last podcast. I went with Sean and I's dad to the Winnipeg Jets game on Sunday, December 18th. Last year, I took our dad to see Winnipeg, and they lost. The Seattle Kraken lost 3-0. So a much better result this time. Sean, your seats are great. Thank you very much. Also, that player cool lounge they have near your seats with the pizza place and the bar and the donut place right behind your seats, that's pretty solid. So Sean has really good seats. If anybody ever wants to go to a game and they're not going in that group, just reach out to Sean on Twitter at Sean_Beatty, because those are pretty good seats. You're right above where the Kraken get defend twice, which is a really good seat. There's really hard to have a bad seat in Climate Pledge Arena in my experience, but they're really good seats way up top. And Kraken were down 2-1. Jordan Eberle had a sweet turnaround backhand shot goal, and then Jared McCann had a sweet goal to take the lead and ultimately win the game. So the Kraken have been fun to watch. Obviously, Sean and I talked about Tampa Bay, Carolina. Those are going to be really big tests, and they didn't win either of those. But luckily, this team has kind of picked it back up. They kind of go on some streaks. They had a winning streak of, what was it, 7, and then lost 3 in a row. Then they won 2 in a row. They lost 3 in a row before their win on Sunday. So, it's a lot of sports are streaky, but it seems like the Kraken have been extremely streaky lately. So hopefully this New York Islanders win on Sunday will kind of propel them as they go on. I believe their longest road trip of the season is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. So we'll see how they do on this 7-game road trip. They'll really kind of tell us about their season. But Sean, what have you thought about the Seattle Kraken these last couple weeks?
It's It's been unfortunate. We were talking. I think we did it right before when they're on their super crazy streak, right? And then they're about to go. I mean, they lost a couple, but they're about to go on that road trip. And yeah, they've lost. What their record recently is? What 4-8. I mean, goaltending was always going to be their Achilles heel, and it's really. I mean, they lost 3 out of 4 too. They're giving up what a little over 4 goals a game. It's just it's going to be their Achilles heel. I mean, unfortunately, it's like every, we talk about it. There's 10 teams, maybe even less in the NFL who have a quarterback, and the other ones all want it. It's the same as a goaltender in hockey. There's so few to go around, and the guys don't want it. I know it's hard to find a goaltender, but I think Martin Jones and Grubauer are great number 2s, but unfortunately, having 2 number 2s in the NHL, it just ain't it. And I think that's going to be the only problem. Like we see it when they got just roadhoused 7-2 by Edmonton the other day. Like if Connor McDavid is going to Connor McDavid's things, but like it's just I don't see how, because they can sometimes keep up. Like they kept up 6-5 in Vancouver the other day, which I watched that game and it took them to shootout. But most nights, this offense, while better than last year, I just don't. I think with the early season flukes were putting up 4 or 5 a game were they were kind of fluky. I think they're more like a 3 to 4 goal team, and I'm not sure that this goaltending can keep them in it a long time. I do think they're in a great position, we talked about before, to make the playoffs for the first time because they had such a hot start to start. I mean, as it stands now, they're in the first wild card. So and they have like games on everybody. Like they are, what is it? They're behind the Kings by 6 points, which is essentially 3 wins, but they have 5 games at hand. Like Kings have played 5 more games than the Kraken. Kraken played almost very, very few games compared to a lot of other teams. So they might be kind of lower down, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily out of it. The only problem is that Colorado's out of it right now, and they're definitely not going to miss. So they're going to leapfrog somebody. Let's just hope it's not the Kraken. But with how many games the Kraken have at hand, it's more of what some people call it in the industry is the loser point. If you can get some of these games to overtime and just not, because in that losing streak where they've said they went 4-8, they own one of those, and only one of those losses did they go to overtime. If they could force a couple more in overtime and get some points out of it, I'd feel a lot better about them. But still, with such a hot start, winning like 7-8 in a row, was it earlier in the season? It gives them such a buffer, and I still think they'll be fine. It's just I think unless one of these goalies flips the switch, I think their expectation once they get in the playoffs is pretty limited. It does obviously it matters who they get matched up with, because there's some teams that I'm not like super worried about in the at least in the Pacific. But I mean, Vegas has shown that they're back after I, of course, predicted them to go to the finals last year. But other than that, like the Kings, I'm not really scared of. So it's just like if you get matched up with some of these teams, I still think the Kraken might be able to do some damage, but I don't see them making a deep run this year, other than getting a goaltender, a real goalie. But for this year and how it's been going the last couple of weeks, it's been rough. They went back down to what I kind of thought they would be. They will balance out, but it's to stop this because Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa is playing for their life. Montreal's not great. Buffalo's turning around. Then they got to go to Boston. Like those teams it's not the easiest road. Then Chicago's terrible. Then Tampa, Edmonton, New Jersey, Colorado. It gets real rough real fast again. So they don't get to play crappy teams like the Sharks for a while. So I guess I'll say this to sum up. It's been rough recently, expected, but it's been a positive year because all the young guys took steps forward. Shane Wright's looked great in the last couple since he's been called back up. So, or not great, but a lot better, like above average NHL player. So,
and they sent him back down.
They did, but I thought he played yesterday, didn't he? I watched part of.
Think so.
I thought he played yesterday. I heard them talking about Shane Wright yesterday.
Let us double check here. And while we're checking, Kevin, have you been able to check out any Seattle Kraken hockey recently?
Oh no, sorry. Shane Wright is not because he's at the juniors. He's at the juniors.
That's right. Yeah.
That's where Shane Wright's playing really well. Yeah. Sorry, I got it confused. I was watching the juniors and the the game, and I forgot which one they were talking about. Shane Wright.
He was the captain, actually.
Yeah.
So
Connor Bedard's the captain. Let's just all settle down there.
Unfortunately, with the holiday season, no, I have not. Like I said, I always do keep up with box score every night that they do play, just to watch and then like see who's goaltending and stuff like that. And as a not to overlap what Sean's done, because he pretty much gave the full analysis. It's kind of what we expected. I mean, this team did start off with a pretty good hot streak for being so young, and then now they're kind of coming back down to earth. And honestly, I'm okay with that, because we weren't expecting them to do anything big this season. Everything that's happened so far this season is gravy, and they're doing a better job than they're improved than over last season. And that's what you want to continue to do, is just continue to improve, especially with such a young core of dudes, and the fact that you're about to draft more, and you got 2 really top good players out of your first round picks. So just build more off around that and just continue to get better. And then you should see a more legit contender probably within the next, I want to say probably 2 years, but who knows? I mean, with the advances that they made this year, maybe you might see a better stretch to where they don't have to, as Sean was mentioning, get lucky matchups in the playoffs where they could, not like beat up good teams, but at least compete with good teams, versus hoping to score, a team that's like on the downtrend, like not on a hot streak in the playoffs, like the Kings and stuff like that. So all in all, so far, I'm happy with what I've seen this season. I mean, yeah, could have stuff gotten better? Yes. And I mean, that's something, as Sean has already mentioned, there are things that do need to be addressed either during the season or in the off season. And hopefully they will do that. So
yeah, it's really, like Kevin said, it's honestly, like, with all these young guys and taking steps forward, they've all been really impressive. And if they continue next year, you just can't have a team save percentage of 880 and like win a bunch of games. You just can't do it. Like, and that's really it. They just find a goaltender, and I think that's pretty much it. Because again, all those guys, like I said, are serviceable as backups. Just having them be your starter, it's just kind of like, that's not a great position to be in. So
yeah, I'll say Matty Beniers has been better than advertised this year. He's 3rd on the team in points, 11 goals, 14 assists, tied for 3rd in goals. And then the other player I've been actually pretty impressed with has been Vince Dunn on defense. He plays the most minutes for the most part on defense. He leads defensemen in scoring with 21. He's got 17 assists, 3rd on the team, or tied for 3rd on the team. So I think those 2 players have really. Incorrect. What's that?
Adam Larson plays more minutes. Sorry, he plays 10 more seconds a night on average.
I am sorry. Well, he plays a lot of minutes.
He does. He's the second most.
Sorry. So yeah, Vince Dunn has looked really good, really come on this season. So those 2 players have been very fun to watch. But solid segue, mentioning Boston there, Sean, who just played in this year's Winter Classic today. It was announced today that the Winter Classic for 2024, January 1st, will be at T-Mobile Park. It will be the Seattle Kraken hosting the Vegas Golden Knights. And I'm going to get your guys' reaction, but first of all, want tickets. So that'd be great. Also, great selection of venue. I heard Lumen Field thrown around. I heard Husky Stadium thrown around. And as we have preached on this show, every single stadium should have a retractable roof. And if it so happens to rain in Seattle on January 1st, you can close that roof. The ice will be fine, and everybody will probably be much, much happier since they won't be getting wet anyways. So good selection on the venue. 2 teams who are, I can't call them rivals at this point in the Kraken's franchise, since they've only been a year and a half. But I think there will be quite a few Kraken fans, as well as quite a few Vegas fans coming up here for that game. So hoping to somehow get tickets. I'm sure season ticket holders will get first dibs. So Sean and his friends will have a shot at it as well. So
you do not get first dibs.
No,
season ticket holders do not get first dibs.
Well, that is a major flaw in this plan.
Maybe they'll change it, but as of now, that is what they told us. So
they're gonna Taylor Swift Ticketmaster this and just have a nightmare, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what
okay, gotcha.
I hope it changes, but that is what I've heard.
Sean, what are your thoughts on this announcement today?
Okay, two things. I don't think. See, I saw the people, but there's a reason most places don't do it at NFL places is because it's not as easy as painting the Falcons logo that they show during the, like the montage, those cool montages they do when they get ready for the Falcons game over the national championship. You have to bring out whole sheets of ice and do that. It's not really feasible to do it in an NFL stadium in the middle of an NFL season because it's still January 1st. There's still multiple regular season games to happen after that for the Seahawks. So you can't really bring in like a sheet of ice and be like, let's play here and then let's try to quickly get it off. Like, let's just, it's only really feasible. That's why they do it at Fenway in, today they did it at Fenway. Yankees, they do it at Yankee Stadium. They do it in these stadiums or else the college season's over. Like Husky Stadium might work because usually you're playing at these larger Rose Bowl games. There's not one at Husky Stadium or things like that. But like an NFL stadium, it's not really feasible because you still have games. But they did pick it right. The retractable roof is not super nice for this. And it's a lot, I feel like it's going to be a lot better than Boston. The only place I would say would be super cool is if they had moved the one today a little bit closer to the Green Monster and the people in the Green Monster seats could look down on it. That would be like the sweetest, but they kind of had it at a weird angle, so it didn't really look great. But yeah, the second thing is it's just only suck because like you said, they don't have a rival yet. And there's no like monster team. I guess they picked the correct team so far in their division.
I would say if they were going to pick another team other than Vegas, I think Vegas has that appeal to bring people
Vegas,
out. But Vancouver is like your geographic rival, but it just doesn't really make that much sense.
Because they both kind of suck. So, or did until this year, they both suck. So there's not really, you have to let that breed a little bit and breathe a little bit and then not breed. And then, but Vegas is the correct one because they have the, at least of all the things, they have the rivalry of like, they're both the new expansion teams. Mm-hmm. And like one has to be better than the other to show up each other. So there is that. But once we start playing playoff games, that's where your rivalries are created. So, but hey, maybe they play Vegas and that starts it. And then this is what happens next year. So, but it is cool that Seattle got one. I saw some people complaining that Seattle got one in their second year. And I thought that's like bullshit. Like you're trying to further the sport in areas, like give it to them. And then why not? You don't have to play these in Chicago or Boston every year. You could play it in Seattle, the new place. You could play it in Vegas is kind of hard, but like, you know what I mean? Like you can play it in some of these other places. And they tried like Tahoe last year, it didn't work great. But a stadium with a retractable roof is a huge thing because the sun and the weather got in the way last year. You could control the climate and safeguard. It's a huge thing. And I got one more thing after Kevin talks. I got a question for you guys.
Well, let me just say I brought it up here, and it's been in a baseball field quite a few times. 2009 at Wrigley, 2010 at Fenway for the first time, 2012 at Citizens Bank Park, 2015 at Nationals Park, 2017 at Busch Stadium, 2018 at Citi Field, and 2022 was at Target Field, and then obviously today at Fenway. Kevin, what are your thoughts on the Winter Classic?
Oh, I like it. It definitely brings, we need more bigger events like that, like especially now that you're going to have the home run derby and the all-star game in Seattle, and then a nice way to follow up shortly after that, even though it's 6 months after, but having the Winter Classic. So I'm glad that we're seeing more events, because then that means it might induce people to be like, I know a Super Bowl is a super long stretch, but to entice to make more hotels, to make to where you can hold larger events like that, or even like bigger concerts and stuff like that in the area. So as a Washington fan, that's definitely best for us. As Sean mentioned, I liked that they picked the Vegas Knights because we're both expansion teams. We're both we don't really have rivals yet. I don't even know if you really can say Vegas has a rival yet, even though they have won a Stanley Cup. Like there's just not enough time in history yet to say like a rivalry. Like it's, so hopefully maybe that could be the start of something, to have a nice rivalry between the two, since we're both the two newest teams and stuff like that. But no, it's just nothing but a positive for the most part. And they chose right to have the retractable roof. So, and it's big enough to where you could hold a lot of people in there. So it should be a lot of fun and interesting just where they're going to put it on the field. But
that's a question, where would you put it, Kevin? Like, I feel like you put it on the middle infield, and that's, I'm not sure where you could go a little closer to the pitcher's mound, but I feel like middle infield is probably where they'll put it.
Yeah, it just depends on where you want it. If you want to have the ends stretch from like the mound out to center field, like where the goalies are, or if you want to go width-wise to where like your like one end where the goalie is kind of like where left field is at, and then go to right field, depending on like what way you shape it. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be a bad seat in the house, because you also have one of the biggest LED screens in a stadium. So even you can look up at that too. That's going to be another big, positive to it, is having one of the biggest screens that's ever been in a stadium, there, other than what, AT&T Field. I don't know if there's anything bigger than what it's in T-Mobile at the moment, but yeah, probably I would say, yeah, probably around just past second base, but it just depends on what way they are going to shape it, either goalies from left to right, or from like between pitcher's mound and second to out to center, like type of deal is where I would put it.
Now, with Kevin's point, I will say I would like a seat in the 200 to 300 level. I think in the 100 you might have a little bit of trouble seeing. I'm sure they'll take down the baseball net, and the higher you get up, the better you'll be able to see. If you're behind the dugout, I'm not really sure how good your seat is going to be. Just kind of picturing it from behind the dugout in front, you'll be close to the action, but the action will be not too much lower than you, and the boards and all that sort of stuff might have a little bit of an obstructed view. But overall, I think it will be
Edgar's
a pretty.
Cantina actually would probably be a really good spot.
Yeah, I think so. Or in that like upper 300 in right field might be even one of the better spots, honestly. But we'll see what tickets are like when they go on sale. So let us know what you think of the Kraken and the Winter Classic coming to Seattle in 2024. Go into us. I'm at Matt. Sean is Sean_Brady. Kev's at SEA to believe. That's C to believe. We are going to talk quickly. Solid transition into some T-Mobile Park regulars known as the Mariners. And we have just a small bit of news. I'm seeing.
Sean said he wanted to ask.
Oh, sorry, Sean, you had one more thing?
Gosh. Oh, no, it's fine. Adam Frazier, the Orioles. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We don't have to talk about the other thing. We can all say that till later.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, Adam Frazier went to the Orioles, 1-year deal. Adam Frazier was here for 1 year. I'm just going to start this off. I didn't know Adam Frazier for very long. Personally, you guys follow baseball a lot more than I do. So I thought he was fine at second base. That was a very good hit in Toronto to bring home Cal Raleigh to win the game. So kudos on that. But, as any Mariner who plays in a former Mariner, good luck to where you go next. So hopefully Baltimore treats you well. Kevin, any thoughts on Adam Frazier?
Bye. I actually disagree with Matt. I thought he was not good at second base. Like he was not, compared to what he had.
I said fine to be.
Oh, fine. Sorry, yeah. Fine. I don't even think he was fine at second base. That was like one of the worst years he's had. Compared to what he's done in previous years. Like his expectations were kind of what we're expecting out of Colton Wong this year. Like just be solid and give us like good to above good second baseman defensive play while hitting, and Sean will get into the WAR and stuff like that, while hitting like 20 to 25 home runs with, I hate saying batting average because that batting average doesn't matter, but like at least 280 or above. That's what you kind of expect out of that. We expected that. I mean, in years past, Frazier had been around the 20 home run mark with, I think he was around 60 to 70 for the runs and ribbies. I'd have to look at his past seasons, but and we'll look at it in a little bit. But he was just unfortunately a sad disappointment other than the Toronto series. And it was cool. I mean, what he did, but it's like we would have loved to seen that for the other 180, games during the regular season, like 182. But yeah. So best of luck to the Orioles. Knowing our luck, he'll probably go ham with the Orioles, especially since it's in a very friendly hitting ballpark. Yeah. So, and on to Colton Wong, and I'll pass that off to Sean.
I'm not like Colton Wong is better. Let's get that out of the way with it first. Adam Frazier just kind of with Kevin, kind of with Matt. I didn't expect a ton from Adam Frazier. It's more of those like Kevin says, like you don't need an all-star at every position, but like he needed to be serviceable, and he was slightly below serviceable. He was not a good hitter. WRC plus of 81 is basically his worst of his career, other than the COVID season, which isn't a full season. It's hard to judge someone off 50 games. He played 100 more games this year than he did that season. So his defense has been getting worse too. It's still fine. It's nothing great, but it wasn't what we signed it for either. I don't disagree with the move from Jerry. Like the trade itself was fine. Didn't cost you a lot. It was like trying to get a solid player. He realizes probably was trying to trade high on him, but wasn't getting up a lot for 1 year. Didn't get what they thought, and it's fine. Let him walk. His ISO, his power was gone. Like he's never been a home run guy. I think he maxed out like 10 home runs. I think.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I was looking at his stats. So I was very completely wrong. Yeah, his max here was 10.
3 is bad, and his ISO power of like under 100 is just, and his BABIP it plummeted. So
his strikeout ratio was, boy.
Yeah, he will bounce back in Baltimore, but it's fine that the Mariners but he probably won't ever be what he was 2 years ago. Almost a 4-WAR player. And it's fine that the Mariners didn't take a shot on that, because even if Wong is, knock on wood, bad, he'll be better than Adam Frazier. That's fine. And I'm fine with him. I don't hate Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier will always have a special place in the heart for that double. That was massive. That's awesome. It's not the double, but the double part 2, I guess. Him and Edgar. I've seen some Twitter things of them side by side hitting their doubles, and so that was awesome to see. So, but I don't hate Adam Frazier. Don't love him, but I appreciate his playoff craziness that he did for us. So, best of luck in Baltimore, and I hope he wins in Baltimore, because Baltimore, Tampa Bay, go those two. Everybody else suck it in that division. So, yeah. Hope he does win a bunch of games in Baltimore.
All right. Well, let us know what you thought of Adam Frazier going to the Orioles. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Matt. Sean is Sean_Beatty. Kev is at C2Believe, SEA2Believe. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like our videos, dislike our videos. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Let us talk about 3 weeks of the Seattle Seahawks now. I'm just going to roll quickly through the games that we missed from our last pod. So they played the San Francisco 49ers at home on Thursday Night Football, lost 21-13. Gino 31 of 44, 238 and 1. Kenneth Walker 12 for 47. Tyler Lockett 7 for 68. Brock Purdy 17 of 26, 217 and 2. Christian McCaffrey 26 for 108 and 1. George Kittle 4 for 93 and 2. Seahawks went to Kansas City the following Sunday and lost 24-10. Gino 25 of 40, 215, 1 and 1. Kenneth Walker 26 for 107 and nothing. DK 7 for 81 and nothing. Patrick Mahomes 16 for 28, 224 and 2. Isaiah Pacheco 14 for 58. Travis Kelce 6 for 113. And then the Seahawks came home for their final 2 games of the season. They took on the Jets yesterday and won 23-6. Gino 18 of 29, 183 and 2. Kenneth Walker 23 for 133. DJ Dallas 3 for 55. Mike White 23 of 46, 240, 2 picks. Ty Johnson 8 for 46, and the leading receiver was Tyler Conklin 6 for 80. Kevin, what did you think of the Seahawks these last 3 weeks?
Yeah. About what I expected. So let's start with San Fran. I expected, I almost called scoreless again. Which, I mean, got 10 points. Cool. We let a brand new rookie quarterback from the 7th round poop all over us. That was not good. Run game, I mean, Christian McCaffrey ran all over us, did because our run defense was just god awful. And then Gino was just getting smashed along with our own line. Just their front four was better than our front five in the offensive line, and it unfortunately showed. Kenneth Walker had a little bit better day that day, but it didn't really matter. Like, we'll get to Kenneth Walker in a moment. On to Kansas City. We should have probably put up more than what we did, just because Kansas City's defense isn't as great as it should be, so to speak. It could be better, but Gino just didn't really look that good. And then defensively, as I was mentioning to Sean and others, I'm like, well, that's kind of what happens when you play soft zone on Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce just going to eat you alive. Like, I don't know what Pete's game plan was for that. Like, one of the best tight ends in the league. He's just going to, if you do soft zone coverage on him, it's just not going to look great. So that was actually, I thought it was going to be more of a murder house. I thought it was going to be like a 30-point deficit. I thought Patrick was just going to run all over it, or throw all over it technically. But and then the Jets game was interesting, mainly because that's a whole different game if Mike White doesn't suck complete butt. Like, if Mike White can complete
Saying stuck is very generous for how bad Mike White was.
Yeah. If Mike White couldn't complete a pass, it was like the Rams game all over again, the first Rams game. Like, Mike White couldn't complete a pass for 10 yards to save his butt. I don't know why. I'm totally bringing for the Jets head coach from Solace. Yeah, why he didn't put Joe Flacco in at the half, or the other guy that was on the active. Like, I know Joe Flacco is not great, but I know Joe Flacco can throw a 10-yard pass, like a 10-yard slant. That's not hard. Like, I know Joe Flacco can do that. And they literally have a somewhat of a shot, because literally Geno Smith did nothing in the second half. Literally nothing. The run game was looking okay, but Geno was just making very bad decision throws. Almost got picked on one. Was very lucky that it didn't get picked. Two of them that I remember. Actually, it was honestly from the half of the second quarter till the end of the game. So almost 2.5, the final 2.5, literally Geno did nothing. Like, we were just giving the Jets a chance to be like, hey, come back on us. And we just got lucky that Mike White sucks at football. And everybody's like, oh my, Mike White. It's like, yes, Mike White had one good game of 300 yards.
Against the Bears.
Yeah, against the Bears, of 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I can name you probably some other, if I went on my phone, you gave me 10 minutes, I could find bad quarterbacks that have had one good game against a bad team and looked really good. Like, it happens, like, but they're expecting like him to be like the guy, and it's just like, no, you just have a bad quarterback room. Everybody in your quarterback room sucks. Sorry that you put a number 2 overall pick into Zach Wilson, who cares more about what he does online and what I'm not gonna get into that, but and I feel bad because, like I said, that defense is solid. Like, Sauce Gardner and the rest of them, like the linebacker that they got from Baltimore, that's really good. Their front four is solid. That defense is solid, and they have pieces on offense. They have a decent running game. They have good good young weapons, and Corey Davis is still there. I still believe in Corey Davis. So like, if you put a quarterback that doesn't suck, I'm trying to be polite here, I'm trying to keep it G-rated, just doesn't suck as hard as what all those quarterbacks do. Like you have I mean, the record is there because they had a quarterback play, like the quarterback just had a less crappy day and they beat crap teams. So that's how they got the record that they did. If you put a quarterback that, you know, is solid in that system, I imagine you probably make the playoffs, Jets. You probably beat Seattle in that game. It just wasn't good. Like after, like it felt like after the first quarter, like the Seahawks offense just, they're just like, well, we got enough, you know, we'll just sell for a couple field goals here and there. And yeah, the defense looked for Seahawks looked okay. The run game actually looked better after what's his face went out, which was kind of weird. The Brooks got hurt, which was odd. I was noticing, I was like, they're stopping the run. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Though, I mean, who do you have back there? Is the main point, and also offensive line. Man, Fant is kind of a shell of what he was supposed to be. Dwayne Brown showing his age, that's for sure. They're still serviceable. I mean, there's worse ends than those two in the league, but all in all, am I surprised about it? No. I kind of predicted. I actually thought the Jets game was going to be closer. I was like, well, maybe Mike White might have something there. And then we're now seeing that Mike White just had a really lucky game against a very bad defense, like, which you kind of expected since the Seahawks defense is super bad that they would do the same thing. But luckily he just sucks really bad. So, yeah, I rather would have taken the loss and getting the higher picks. I think we'll probably go into that a little bit more. Just because at this point, what's the point of making the playoffs? Because you have no chance getting the Super Bowl unless a meteor hits all the other teams. Sorry. And then even if you make the Super Bowl, you're probably not winning. So I'd rather have the high draft pick. Two high draft picks, because we're going to get one with Russell's in Denver. Oh, but all in all, sure. I'll take it, but I would have rather had a higher draft pick.
Sean?
No, you go ahead. No, I'll wait.
All right. 49ers game. I'm a Jordan Mason garbage time touchdown away from almost nailing that score. So pretty close on that one. About what I expected. Like I said, Brock Purdy, doesn't matter who plays quarterback. He just didn't have to hurt him. He didn't. Very efficient. They won 4 in a row with him as a starter. I think it's going to be Eagles, Niners, and it's hard to say who I would take in that game in the NFC Championship. But overall, the defense wasn't terrible. The offense just couldn't do anything. And that defense for the San Francisco 49ers is really good. Really, really good. Chiefs game, totally not surprised on that one either. Like Kevin said, I thought the Chiefs would score more. So, I mean, we'll give credit to the Seahawks defense for only allowing 7 points in that second half. But once again, the offense just couldn't get anything going. They just looked stagnant. And, you know, that Chiefs defense isn't great. So thought they would have a much better showing than 10 points. But, oh well, what are you going to do? And then the Jets game, I thought the team played pretty well. Obviously, the Jets aren't the greatest opponent, but you beat the opponent in front of you. That's all you can do. Geno was fine. The offense looked better than it did against the Chiefs and the 49ers. You know, I'll give credit to the Seahawks defense. You know, Mike White wasn't great, but also you've got to be able to do things to disrupt Mike White in that offense, and they did what they needed to do to get the win. So, you know, 8-8 at this point in the season with a chance to somehow make the playoffs, like, absolutely, I will take this where they're at right now. It's kind of weird with that scheduling in week 18, but, you know, we'll see what happens with the Lions and the Packers. Sean?
49ers, Seahawks. It was. It does matter. Quarterback Brock Purdy got really nice. Yeah, he threw 2 passes that I'm sure Matthew could complete. Yeah. The Seahawks got dominated. It was not. It was not that close. Congratulations for like that. Some bounces going the Seahawks way to make it, you know, a 1-score game, but it was not a 1-score game. The 49ers absolutely dominated. Chiefs game, Gino just again, second game in a row, negative EPA per play. Just Mahomes didn't play amazing. Did not play even like a third of his normal self. So I think some credit goes to the Seahawks defense. Other ones go to the mass amounts of drops that the Kansas City Chiefs had. I believe they had 6 in the game, and the weather affect both teams. It does. It's when you're that cold, it's just harder to do things. But they were in it. But again, it was kind of it was more. They just were better. The Chiefs were just simply better, even on a day that they did not play well. They just were better. Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, the guys you needed, just didn't show up. Was that the game that Tyler got hurt, or was that the game
That
before?
was the game. Or no, that was 49ers because he didn't play against the Chiefs.
He didn't play against the Chiefs. Yeah, and then he for some reason played yesterday. And then the Jets game. Geno still negative EPA per play again, but barely 0.01. So awesome. But Mike White at a negative 0.4 basically. It's the worst game I remember seeing anybody play. It's just there wasn't. He still has broken ribs, so obviously that's a factor. But it's just.
Play him.
I know, and that's that. Like
that's on Salas being an idiot.
I know, but like again, his other options, Zach Wilson. Like what you gonna fucking do? He's trash
Put
too.
Flacco in there. Flacco can make a 10-yard pass.
Honestly, Flacco's probably their best bet right now. Honestly, you're probably right, but it's just like, I mean, if that's your best bet, like you're already not in the playoffs. The Jets, like the Giants, they're both not good teams. Winning games is not indicative of your talent. Like they clearly showed the Jets. Remember when the Jets were like 6-1 and everything? Oh my god, they suck. They're not like they weren't that good. Like this is what it was. Like records lie to you. Like that's what it is. They're come back down to earth. It's what it is. There's just not enough talent there. They're defensively, they have some talent. Yes, absolutely. Kevin's right that there are pieces. Just on offense, you have no quarterback. You lost your running back. You had to play backup tackles. Like you're signing 40-year-old tackles during training camp. It's not what you thought. So, and I didn't think I think this is a good step for the Jets, like as a year, but it's just clearly they're not there yet. And that's fine. As in terms of the Seahawks, they did what they had to do. They took advantage. Eventually, like Kevin said, Geno and this team was so efficient early on. And obviously that's not going to continue. But like Kevin said, and what has happened in the games is they just disappear for like 30 minutes of the game. They didn't do anything for like the second, third, like they're gone. And I'm like, okay, guys, like if you're going to win anything that matters, you can't just disappear for half a game. Like you just can't keep doing it. And like they'd have like a drive of like 16 yards, then -4, then 11. And I'm like, you don't have to score or do dominant things, but you have to do more than they had their middle after their first drive of the second quarter. Their next 4 drives where they have, I think they had a total of 8 yards in the next 4 drives, like net yards. I'm like, guys, like you can't keep like, and then they were like, okay, we're going to end it now. I'm like Kevin said, if that's a competent offense over there, the game's over now, or the game is like, it's a game now. Like you can't let these team back in. Thank God the Jets don't have anybody. But I mean, again, Geno Smith, like if you took his EPA per play and extrapolated it out to a full season, that's the same as Russell Wilson's been playing all year. He played as well as Russell Wilson played all year in that game yesterday. So I'm like, Geno, like we'll off season's going to come and we're going to have some serious questions there. But like, you just can't be disappearing for halves. Like, and I get some of it too. EPA is not perfect. It's DK. There's one pass that DK just should have caught. Like it hit DK in both hands, like down the sideline. I think it's Sauce. Is that you guys remember that? Did he beat Sauce on that play?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and had it. That's a 40. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember exactly how many yards, but
he
it was
also missed the touchdown they tried to throw to DK in double coverage in the back corner and I put it on there. Like Parkinson's literally open on the 2-yard line and literally can just fall back for a touchdown.
I don't know I didn't look and see what his progression was, so I don't know if Parkinson was even an option, like a fourth option, but at least on that play, he makes the right read. He throws a really good ball, but DK just drops it. So that does affect the EPA and things like that. But like, it's like, I need to see a little bit more if this team's going to really take the next step. Walker finally had a big run, still negative EPA on the day. DJ Dallas was more effective. Like, it's just, Walker, I need you to like
Go
again
forward.
on the biggest issue with Walker again continues to be he made a great cutback on that first play. Awesome, springs it. The problem is he does that every single play, and he constantly gets negative yards or 0 yards on the other drives, and it kills everything. That's honestly, I think a lot of the issue is why these for entire halves we go missing is because Walker keeps putting us in negative down distance, negative down distance, negative down distance. And when good defenses or even semblanceable defenses know you're going to pass on 3rd and long, Gino has at times shown he can rush, but also takes really dumb sacks sometimes. And that's fine. If that's the worst part of Gino's game, that's fine. But like, that's because Walker's not getting us. He's just taking the 3 yards and falling forward. He's trying to cut it, and then he will lose in a yard. And now instead of 2nd and 6 or 7, we're 2nd and 11. And I'm just like, he needs to understand to take the 3 yards or not cut everything back, because that's where the losses come from. And you're just not making enough big plays to offset that. You're hurting us at this point. Just take the 3 or 4 yards and fall forward. And when you get that chance or see that hole, maybe cut it back. Just don't keep cutting it back all the time, every single play. That's my big gripe with every time Walker touches the football. It's a boom or bust, and unfortunately, it's been way more bust than boom. And need to see more. I will say, being 8 wins, it's impressive. I will say, probably with this and how things have gone, it is probably closer to the 6 wins Vegas had them at than actually 8 wins. They've gotten a little bit lucky a couple times, so they're probably not far off being actually an 6-win team. But you get bounces sometimes. You win a couple games you shouldn't. Look at the Minnesota Vikings, in their whole season. But it's just, again, I clarify, Minnesota's not a terrible team. They're not a 12-win team. But it's just, it does suck, the schedule, but again, as someone pointed out and I pointed out on Twitter, don't lose to the NFC South, like the entirety of the NFC South, and it's not an issue. Like, you had a chance to do something about it, you didn't. Of course, and again, someone made a great point, and it's a national guy who says, yes, the Seahawks got screwed, but it's NFL at first as entertainment. Second, it's about sports. It is like the Packers-Lions game is going to be a big draw on Sunday night. They want that big draw.
Well, that, and it's also clearly the most important game on the Sunday schedule. Like, it's not even close.
It
is, and so they want that game. It's the matters the most, and it's an entertainment business. I get it. I get it. It is not fair for the Seahawks. But again, you just don't lose to the Saints or don't lose to the Panthers. Like, then it was you had control.
Well, I understand that argument, but you could say the same thing about the Packers and the Lions. So I don't really put too much stock in it.
But the Lions and Packers are playing each other. Your fault for being in the shitty NFC West. It's your fault, Seattle, for being in the shitty NFC West and playing the Rams now. It's not the Packers' fault that they're playing a team that's also relevant now. You had an opportunity to do something. I get it. It is not fair. It is not. It is crappy. But I would be mostly mad at the Seahawks. Like, I'm just like, just beat the Panthers. Just beat a Sam Darnold-led Panthers.
So people are saying it's not fair that we're not in the primetime game?
No, not they shouldn't be either. Because if the Seahawks, what was the scenario?
The Seahawks win and the Packers
Lions
lose.
Have nothing to play for.
Yeah.
So they're going to say they're going to rest them. And I'm like, NFL teams don't really do that, especially last game. And especially the Lions, where it's a team that, like, they have a lot to play for next year. Like, these guys are playing for jobs. They're on the up. It's not like a team that, like, is, like, coasting something in like the Rams or the Broncos, and they're resting all these hurt guys because they have a bunch of guys that are hurt. They're supposed to do something next year. It is a very different scenario for this team. This team is coming up, and they're young and have a lot to prove. And Jared Goff might be playing for a different job next year. Like, he's probably playing for a different team. So he's like, I got to produce. And knowing that coach, he's the ankle biter guy, we're going to gnaw their kneecaps kind of guy. Like, I don't see them doing that. So I don't really buy the argument of the Rams, like the Lions, like sitting everybody, or not even sitting, but not playing hard. They're going to play hard. And the Lions and Packers, you know how that entire division feels about the Packers. No one likes the Packers in that division. So it does suck. And someone made a great point. You could have, if you wanted them so bad on primetime, you could have put the Lions Packers on Saturday primetime. And then it doesn't matter because the Seahawks have to win either way. I mean, it would then, I guess, not matter if the Packers won, but still at least
ultimately the Seahawks have to win.
Oh,
so
yeah.
for any of this to matter.
Cannot lose.
So that's the thing. It's just
Can I will say something like looking at these numbers, like what the last since Baker Mayfield took over, he's played better than Geno Smith. So like that's an issue. Like we had a guy who couldn't throw the ball 25 yards last time and barely beat them. Like we cannot play like we did last time. We will lose by 20 to this Rams team. Like I'm hoping they can. Hopefully, maybe they're turning the corner with this Jets game. But like, we have to play a lot better and get out of this funk right here. Oh, and Kevin, I'm getting a point to you. The defense did get better EPA wise when Jordan Brooks left against the run. They were a lot better against the run when Jordan Brooks left. Not small sample size on and off the field splits are really messy.
And plus, who's in that backfield?
It's not really going to hold up in like a scientific. Like if you're holding it up, it's like it's sample size and all that stuff. But it was noticeable that like, whoa, like this team, they might be asking the players to do different things. Who knows? But like it's their linebacker core next year is going to be a whole different issue because they don't.
Great segue, Sean, to Rams at Seahawks 125 on Sunday. They played, what was that week? Whatever it was in LA. Seahawks won 27-23. And this time there's Baker there. Rams certainly want to end on a high note. We'll see what the weather's like, but who wants to take this one first? Who wants to give me a prediction? Kevin, I'm looking you in the eyes with your finger at your mouth. What you got?
Oh yeah. So I think it's gonna be interesting. I think Geno's pretty much, this is like Geno has to play his ass off. Let's be real here. Like I know there's still a lot of NFL media out there that are not paying attention to numbers, and they're like, Geno Smith's a Pro Bowler, and it's like, no.
Well, I will say,
even though
Geno Smith is a Pro Bowler because he plays the NFC, but he deserves probably to be a Pro Bowler.
I mean, for his first 6 games.
Well, I will also say Pro Bowl is fan vote, and fans are. Fans.
Yeah, it's stupid, but like honestly, who's been better in the NFC other than Hurts?
Cousins.
No, I would probably put Prescott, but he doesn't have as many games.
That's the issue. Prescott can't. Any of the 49ers quarterbacks can't. Like it's just like that. There's just nobody else really.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins I would agree with that. Yeah,
Kirk Cousins has been like fine, but at least like Geno had like a big like boom like awesome at the start of the season. Kirk Cousins has been like fine. I just realized Daniel Jones passed in the EPA. Oh, that sucks. Jared Goff should be in the Pro Bowl, actually. Sorry, Geno. Jared Goff's been really good.
Jared Goff's been actually kind of legit, which is
weird. Let's settle down. Remember, Nick Foles looked like absolute garbage and won a Super Bowl. So again, 1 year's lie to you all the time, all the time.
Yep, and they're on the 4th place schedule too. Yep. So it's like, we'll see. Yep. I think it's going to be close again because they have something to play for, so they're going to play their butts off. But also, the Rams are going to play better. I think it's going to come down to a final stretch. I think it's going to be by a field goal win, and I'm going to say the Rams are going to win it 27-24.
All right, Sean, me or you?
You go.
All right. Well, as Kevin has mentioned, I think this is Geno's big moment, and I really do think he will step up in this moment. I do think it's going to be close. It's not going to be any more than 4 points, I think. So I kind of see it similar to the last game they played where Geno has to lead a game-winning drive, and I think he gets it done again at home. I want to have a somewhat different score, so let's see. The defense are going to be poopy. Let's go 34-31 Seahawks. Sean?
Man. I had real yesterday at 11:30, I was driving back home, and I was like, I think the Seahawks win 2 games and go to the playoffs. I really for some reason, it makes no sense. They're not a playoff team. They don't deserve to go, but I feel like they can. Looking at since Baker took over, the Rams are the better team. With that said, the Rams have a much better offense, but they have a worse defense. I think with that, I'm going to go with my gut, with what I thought in the car driving. I'm going to say the Seahawks win by 2. Makes you feel terrible about this team because that's just, it's what it is, because the Seahawks the Seahawks just find a way, not because of talent, but because of just random things happening. Like they play like no quarterbacks this year, and so it's just like okay. And like Baker might have his old Baker in Cleveland moment. Like he got really hot in the beginning. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's Thursday night," when he came in and took it over, and he's like, "Okay, now we're done with this thing." I think we might be past that. But if anybody can do it, Sean McVay with Baker. So I still say them winning it by 2, but then that means the Seahawks have to play like the Eagles, Cowboys, or 49ers. Dear God.
No, well, the Vikings too. If we get the
That's
Vikings,
true.
we have a shot.
It's kind of up in the air, really.
I was
Depends on
actually
the final
looking that
week,
up as we spoke.
I mean, the
because
49ers play the Cardinals. The 49ers play the Cardinals, though.
Like the Cowboys could still win the division
but
somehow.
the Vikings
49ers
play the Bears though. Like
Yeah, but don't. Yeah, that's true.
that's
true.
what I'm saying. So, and I.
But I mean,
I'm
like the
trying to
Bears
see-
could, like, if anybody could do random thing, it could be Fields, right?
Yeah,
And so 49ers are above Minnesota right now.
correct.
So
They
all
are
the
currently
49ers have to do
17th.
is beat the Cardinals.
Looking it up. Hold on.
That's what it is. It's Eagles, 49ers, Minnesota, Bucks. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order.
as of right now.
Yeah. God, so you're probably gonna have to play either the Cowboys, Eagles, and whoever wins this last game, and then the 49ers. It's
Well, I
probably
mean,
right.
if we get in, we're going to be the final seed.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
we're going
You're
to
gonna
go
play
the Niners.
Yeah, you're gonna play the 2 seed, the Niners. That's what I'm saying. Like,
God, and we're going to get murdered. So,
I still, yeah, I'm gonna say the Seahawks win. I'm gonna say the Packers lose. I will say though, like being slaughtered in the first round doesn't sound that appealing, and I don't want to like say tank, but I would really like at least for those Lion fans to get in the playoffs. You know, like after all the shit they deal with all the time. Like, when was the last time they won a playoff game?
2016.
No, won a playoff game.
Won a
No.
playoff
1999?
game. No, it was-
99, yeah.
Like,
Stafford didn't
I'm
win
not,
one while he
like
was
the
there.
Seahawks. You know, like, and it's a rebuilding year, anyways, and do all this stuff. Like, come on, that means way more to Detroit than to Seattle at this point. Like, my God, like, and they earn it by beating them in the thing. Like, it would suck, and it would be like, but at the end of the day, it would be like the worst thing if the Seahawks lost and Detroit won. But the worst thing would be the Seahawks losing and the Packers win anyways. That'd be the worst thing.
Yeah,
But I think Seahawks win and I think Packers lose. So I'm going with.
yeah. I actually am kind of opposite you, Sean. I think Seahawks win, but the Packers win. Unfortunately,
I'm probably thinking with my heart, Matthew. I probably am.
I think you are, and
But let me dream my dream, okay?
but on the other hand, I have bet the Lions pretty much since their 1-6 start and been pretty much spot on every time. So it's hard for me to bet against the Lions, but
I know
it's
almost like
it
the
feels
numbers told you
like-
they're better than the
like
record.
somehow the Packers are just destined. Now, do I think the Packers, if they do get in, get decimated by the 49ers? Absolutely. But, you know, getting in is the point here. And I think that the Packers will handle their business and eliminate the Seahawks, unfortunately. Kevin, what do you think on the Lions-Packers game?
Just as a clarification, yeah, last time they won a playoff game was in 91.
91. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I
Last
know
time
they played
I
in
was
16
two.
against the Seahawks.
last time they've been to the playoffs was 2016.
Yeah, I played the Seahawks, right? In Seattle, right?
Yes. Oh my Lord. They only have 7 playoff wins in their history.
I saw a crazy stat.
God.
Mahomes has more touchdown passes at his third season in the NFL. That includes his rookie year, we didn't play, than the Lions have in their franchise playoffs.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now and it's not pretty.
Yeah.
It's less than 40 from what I look. Let's see. That's 8, 9, 14, 15, 18,
Let me find the exact.
24,
let me find the exact
26,
stat.
27 plus. Oh, so that's 34, 42.
I'll see if I can find it. It'll take
They
me a
have
second. but
50
you
touchdowns. They have
Talk
50
about
touchdowns.
something else. I'll find the stat.
Okay. Lion. I think it could be close, honestly. Like
Oh,
Detroit.
I think it will be close. Absolutely.
Detroit's defense is playing at a different level than what most expected to. And that offense has been actually, especially since Swift came back, has been legit. Like Jared Goff's playing okay football. Like he's not playing like the football we're used to. So it's gonna be tough. Though Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. So you can't discredit him. Like the dude can do magic out of his butt, even though a lot of people hate him. And that defense,
Me included.
yeah, even though that defense is okay. They've had some bad games before, but and it's in Lambeau too. That's the only bad part. Like if this thing was in Detroit, I'd call Detroit the whole thing, but it's going to be cold in Lambeau on a Sunday night. So I'm gonna say probably Green Bay, just because it's home field advantage, and not a lot of people will outdo Rodgers in Lambeau in cold conditions. Especially Jared Goff. But I mean, Jared Goff beat a Seahawks team with a broken thumb, so who knows?
And he beat the Packers already this year. So.
But yeah, that was also not in cold, crazy weather.
Fair.
So with the cold weather, and with them having a better run system, even though DeAndre Swift is good, but what AJ Dillon and the other one, Aaron Jones are doing right now is just really, really good. I'd say Packers by like 7. But I think I think it'll probably be like 24-17, 24-20 maybe-ish. So.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of Week 18 Rams at Seahawks. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at _Matt. Sean is at Sean_Bitty. Kev is at SEA2Believe. That's C2Believe on Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like our videos. Tell us what you think in the comments below. We should be back next week. We will possibly wrap up the Seahawks season, maybe talk about a playoff game. Who knows what'll happen. We'll have more Kraken, and we'll see if anything comes from this cold, cold winter for the Mariners. But until then, we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports. Bring back our Sonics.